Let's see one more type of relationship possible among entities. Let us say there is again employee entity set. This is employee entity type, and this is employee entity set, and there is department entity type and department entity set. Okay, this is the department entity type and this is department entity set. Now there are many employees here, right, and there are many departments here, and from the verbal description of the requirements, let us say you have inferred or you jotted down these few requirements, and they are like this. Every department should have a manager. Okay, and every should have a manager, and only one manager should be there, and only one employee manages a department, right? So what does it mean? Now for every department, one of the employee is going to act as a manager, right? And so therefore whenever you see this managers, right, the word managers, the verb, you'll understand that there has to be a relationship, and now this relationship is nothing but an association, right? So we are going to create a relationship, and the name of the relationship is managers, right? So employee manages department, right? So why did I write this managers, the name? Just it has to be readable and meaningful, that's it. You can come up with any name, right, but then come with meaningful names, right? And now there are various relationships, and every relationship is nothing but an association between these two, right? So for every department there has to be a manager, right? Let us say there are 4 departments, and for department D1, department D2, department D3, department D4, and for department D1 it is being managed by employee E1, then this particular relationship is going to have association between this particular entity and this particular entity, right? So what is the meaning of it? Employee E1 manages department D1, and employee E2 say is managing department D2, right? And some employee other E, right? And now it is like this: E1, E2, E3, E4. 4 departments are managed by 4 different employees, and let's add one more constraint, that any employee can manage only one department, which means only one employee manages a department, and an employee can manage only one department, right? So if this is the case, then no two employees are going to one employee is never going to manage 2 departments, right? Now let's see various factors here. So what can you say about the degree of the relationship? What about the degree? How many entities are participating? 2 entities. So one question is, what is the degree, right? Degree is 2. Then what about the cardinality? Cardinality is maximum number of relationships in which each entity can participate, or in which an entity can participate. So what is the maximum number of relationships in which this entity can participate? Only 1, right? Why? Because an employee, an employee can manage only one department, therefore the maximum number of relationships one entity here can participate is 1. What about this one? A department has to be managed by at least one and exactly one employee, right? That is what is said. So a department has to be managed by at least one and exactly one employee, and so the maximum cardinality is 1. So cardinality itself means the maximum number, right? So the cardinality here is 1 and the cardinality here is 1, right? This is the cardinality ratio. Fine. And what about the participation or existence? So participation or existence is the minimum number of relationships any entity can participate. If you watch this, there is no hard and fast rule that every employee has to manage a department, right? there can be employees who are not managers, right? In that case, what happens? There will be some entities who will never participate in any relationship. Therefore, what is the minimum number of relationships an entity here can participate in a relationship? 0, right? So minimum number of relationships an entity can participate is 0. What about this one? The minimum number of relationships an entity can participate and department entity can participate. I told you that every department has to have an employee, right? A manager. Therefore, if there is a department, there will definitely be a manager who is managing it. Otherwise, such a department will not exist, right? That is called as existent constraint or participation. So what is the participation here? 1. It means that every department should have a manager, right? Now let's see how to represent it in both the ways. So one way is that single line, double line. This is employee and this is managers and this is department, right? So I told you how to write the cardinality ratio. So I'm writing single line, double line. Okay, how to write the cardinality ratio? Whatever is the actual number, you just reverse it and then you write it. Okay, so what is it? It actually 1 to 1, so it doesn't matter, right? 1 here and 1 here. It is a 1 to 1 relationship. The reason is maximum cardinality is 1 and 1. You got it. And what about the minimum? Every employee need not participate in the relationship, but every department has to participate in the relationship. Therefore, total participation is here, partial participation is here. Whenever participation is 1, it means that it is total participation. Whenever participation is 0, it means that it is partial participation, right? So here there is total participation and here there is partial participation. And this is about one representation, single line, double line representation. What about the min-max representation? So min-max representation, we need not use the lines at all. I mean single line, double line. We can simply represent it this way. So what is the minimum and maximum? What is the minimum participation of employee? 0. What is the maximum participation of employee? 1. What is the minimum participation of department? 1. What is the maximum participation? 1. Right. So this is an example of 1-to-1 relationship. Right. So again, I didn't write any role about it, right? If you had to write a role, what is the role of this in this particular entity type in this relationship? Manager. So you can even have within the brackets the role as employee as manager, right? And what about the department? Department as maybe managed, right? And this is managers. So names have to be meaningful. Okay. So questions possible on this will be, they will either ask you to identify the diagram representing this in any of these forms, or they will ask you what is the cardinality of this and that, right? Or they will ask you this single line, double line. Something about these diagrams will be possible, right? Okay.